So, good evening, everyone. This evening, I would like to talk about The Next Step. The Next Step is a TV show from Canada. It was aired since March 8, 2013 over Family Channel in Canada. Following the success of The Next Step in Canada, they wanted to spread The Next Step globally. And that's why they held a studio tour. They also have a concert, right? So let's talk about what happened during season 1 to season 7. Okay? So season 1, okay. Miss Kate took over as the studio owner and studio head. Under their dance captain Emily, Michelle, a troupe prepared for their 17th annual Absolute Dance Regionals. During regionals, the next step won. Elite is the next step's rival, and this is led by Lucien. And their dance captain at the time was Amanda. Okay. Season 2, after the next step won regionals, they move on to nationals. Their next requisite. Okay. Chris, the head choreographer of the next step, left the next step to become the co-owner of a new rival studio called Superstar Dance. Okay. And then at that time, their dance captain, Emily and Michelle, remained. Okay. Michelle later left the next step, and Emily became disrupted, and Amanda became the dance captain. During Absolute Dance Nationals, the next step won, but their celebration was cut short when the dancers discovered that they are due to be evicted from their studio. Okay? Season 3. This is the most fun. To be honest, for me, what happened in season 3 is that they will go and qualify for internationals. The next requisite from the prerequisites for Absolute Dance Internationals are Absolute Dance Regionals and Nationals. In season 3, what happened? Lucien, the owner of Elite Dance Studio, attempt to buy the next step from Miss Kate and attempt to be placing it under the new management. Elite and the next step merged to form the internationals team. Dance battles were arranged in order to settle the dispute. The plan of Lucien was backfired, and Miss Kate remained as the studio owner. Because of Michelle's family emergency and Emily's knee injury, the two dance captains stepped down and Giselle took over. And they're qualified for internationals, and the team won internationals and made the next step the best dance studio in the world. Okay. Season 4 for me is the worst. Why? It's because let's discover what happened. Miss Kate stepped down as studio head temporarily to go to the United Kingdom, and Riley took over as the studio head. Season 4 for me is the worst. After a long time, the next steppers left. A new set of dancers came in. Like Latroy, Piper, Cassie, Sloan, Alfie, Henry, and Amy. Okay. This time they go back to regionals. But because for the first qualifier, the team does not place high enough to qualify due to Noah's untreated back injury. And they also pulled out again for the second qualifier, and At the final qualifier, the studio was victorious and qualified for regionals. They also had, during season 4, the Bangers and um, to be held in the United Kingdom. It's James, Eldon, and West went to the United Kingdom to dance at the Bangers and Mashups International Hip Hop Extravaganza. And who do you think your stand? Jiley or Ralphie? For me, to be honest, is Jiley. Jiley forever. For me, Jiley. I'm against with Ralphie because Ralphie experienced Switzerland and attempt to have a love interest on Riley. Alfie, because he's new, he can't take over Riley for the first place, by the way. Okay. Skylar was appointed as the dance captain as a replacement of Giselle. After mishaps including the disqualification of Sloan and Michelle being hospitalized, the next step, loss, regionals. Okay. Season 5, there are some changes. Okay. Season 5 of the next step brings a lot of changes for the studio. Then after the next step lost regionals under Riley's time, many dancers left to pursue their goals and dreams. Emily, the former A-Troupe member and dance captain, stepped in to take over the studio, but her strict regime isn't welcomed by everyone and the studio quickly divides into two, Emily and Michelle. And in the end, only one team can make it to regionals, and this is a battle between East and West. We also had newcomers like Elliot, Josh, Ozzy, Lola, Jackie, Zara, and Kingston. We also had a guest choreographer. His name is Leon Blackwood. Leon Blackwood is most famous. He's a famous choreographer, by the way. Okay. After Riley steps down as studio head to attend business school, Kate names Emily as the new studio head. After clashing with Emily over the choice of dances during the auditions for A-Troupe, Michelle decides to form the Next Step West, a rival troupe made up of the dancers that Emily rejected. A-Troupe became the Next Step East. And they had two dance captains, Rochelle and Piper. Okay. Then, but because of a civil war and the fighting, the Next Step East and the Next Step West merged into a unified A-Troupe. And because one captain is enough, Rochelle and Piper were replaced by Noah. Noah is the first male dance captain. Okay. After they created a qualifier video which is selected by a panel of judges, A-Troupe was qualified for regionals. And what happened? Emily and Michelle were rejected by Miss Kate as the studio heads because of Michelle's health problems and temporarily closed the Next Step for 3 weeks for a scholarship. Okay. On what happened during season 6, when Miss Angela became studio head of the Next Step, Noah sees the dance captaincy to Lily in order to assist Piper. When Lily was dance captain, Rochelle temporarily becomes her assistant. After Lily's departure, Noah became dance captain again, and he retains the position until after regionals, where he decided to leave the Next Step. Season 6, Miss Kate hires Angela as studio head. They replace Emily and Michelle. After Miss Angela's plan to take over the Next Step, Miss Kate decided to reject Miss Angela, and Emily and Michelle were reappointed again. Okay. During season 6, they also have another newcomers: Summer, Finn, Lily, Davis, Kenzie, and Simone. Simone is also a dance from Acronation, a new dance troupe led by Talia, um, the newly returned uh, dancer from the next step, where she danced until internationals. During season 6, they had a prom, they had a convention. It's very interesting to note that during the dance convention, Dero, Deto, or Dero is an internet dance sensation and model. And she's a dancer from the US. Okay? Dero is most famous dancer. Okay? During the convention. And an internet sensation, too, by the way. Okay. After learning that the studios competing at regionals will be divided based on the age of their dancers, A Troop and the university decides to compete in the senior advanced division to keep Noah, their 18-year-old dancer, on the team. And because of their victorious and successful for the preparations for regionals, Emily and Michelle's A Troop won regionals and qualified for nationals. Acronation, led by Talia, lost. Okay. Recently, what happened on season 7? For season 7, the Next Step celebrated its 30th anniversary with a Christmas party, which reunites the A Troop alumni, and the current A Troop performed a dance piece inspired by the Nutcracker. Emily danced with the knowledge that the Nutcracker was the first production performed by the Next Step's dancers after Kathy opened the studio. Because of that, or rather, following the anniversary, Michelle steps down as studio head to pursue a professional dance career. Miss Kate was also stepped down and placed the Next Step under the new management. It's led by Nick, a dance enthusiast. After Noah and Jackie decided to leave, Miss Angela's daughter Lily returned to the Next Step and later became the 10th member of the troupe. For the first time, the Next Step held auditions for nationals. But after receiving an official invite, A Troop decided to audition for a popular reality TV show called Dance Mania. Fresh off from their regional win, Season 7 of the Next Step finds the dancers turning their attention towards nationals. Excitement has never been higher as competition for soloist positions heats up. An emotional send-off means big changes at the studio, and the past dancer returns hoping to earn redemptions. As A Troop speeds towards nationals, the things take an unexpected turn with once-in-a-lifetime opportunity shakes up the studio. A Troop struggles to stay united as they face the biggest decision of their dance careers. All bets are off. Okay? Acrony No more Acronation. Acronation is not existing anymore in season 7. And because, as you may know, Nick became the studio owner of the Next Step Dance Studio, and he's using British accents, by the way. He attended business school, and he jumped at the opportunity to buy the Next Step Dance Studio from Miss Kate. Okay? The next step placed under the new management. Okay? At that time, their dance captain was Summer. But because of Summer's problem, Rochelle took over for Dance Mania. Okay? Dance Mania is their focus. This is the rival of the Absolute Dance competition. So, for me, as a fan of the Next Step, I love that show. Okay? So that so for the leadership, Nick is the studio owner. Okay. So Miss Kate was the studio owner of the Next Step Dance Studio when that show began in 2013. And since season 7, Miss Kate is no longer the studio owner and plays it under the new management, and Nick became the studio owner. Chris and Phoebe are merely head choreographers of the Next Step Dance Studio. Chris left to co-own a rival dance studio named Superstar Dance, and Phoebe left to swim with the turtles in the Galapagos Island. Lucien was the studio owner of the Elite Dance Academy, but Lucien is Miss Kate's enemy. What type of leadership is Lucien? He attempted to buy the Next Step from Miss Kate. He is unprofessional and unethical. Okay? During season 6, Miss Angela became the studio head of the Next Step. She's the former owner of Miss Angela's Encore Dance Studios. Talia was founded Acronation. Talia was the studio head. Eldon was the head choreographer. The head choreographer is the third He's the third highest roles in the studio's hierarchy. But before I go on, the studio head. The studio head. A studio head, Miss Kate was the initial studio head of the Next Step, as well as the studio owner. And Riley took over. After the Next Step lost regionals, Riley stepped down, as I said earlier. Emily returned, and Michelle led. And then season 6, Miss Angela as studio head. After the Next Step won regionals, Miss Kate sells the studio to Nick, and Michelle left. Emily remained as the studio head. Tiffany became a studio head of her own studio according to a phone call. Okay? The head choreographer is the third highest role in the studio's hierarchy. Chris became the head choreographer of the Next Step, and then he left in order to become a co-owner of Superstar Dance. Phoebe, Miss Kate's sister, became the head choreographer and left after internationals to live in the Galapagos Island, but the Next Step has no head choreographer during the loss of regionals under Riley's time. Lucien is both the head and head choreographer of Elite, but this guy is unprofessional. Danielle and Wes returned to the Next Step, but this time their focus is TNS East and West, and became co-head choreographers after the two troops merged. The two left after Emily and Michelle are fired. Eldon is hired by Talia to be the head choreographer of Acronation and also choreographers for A Troops. Okay? For season 7, Eldon is choreographing during season 7. He's no longer the head choreographer of Acronation. Okay? The dance captain. It's part of the leaders, the hierarchy. The dance captain is a member of the studio who acts as a leader. In the Next Step, Miss Kate is the first dance captain, and then later, Miss Emily became dance captain and retains the position the following year. and Michelle later became co-captains. After Michelle's departure and Emily left, Giselle took over as a dance captain. Skylar became dance captain during season 4, and then during season 5, Rochelle, Piper, and Noah became dance captain. Okay? Okay. For season 6, when Miss Angela became studio head, she's a very strict studio head, no one turned over to Lily. But after Lily left, Noah became dance captain again. And to decide who will replace Noah as dance captain, Kenzie, Summer, and Rochelle are selected for the dance captain. And the winner was Summer. After H qualifies for Dance Mania, Summer left, or no longer Nature. And Rochelle took over unofficially, became the interim dance captain of all but me. So to the fans of the next step, I'm, I'm appreciating you guys watching. And to the people of Family Channel Canada, CBBC, HBO Family Asia, and CBC Gem, I hope you enjoy this talk about the next step. Thank you very much. Good night. Stay safe and healthy.